Welcome to Smack This, the unofficial Godsmack podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Humphrey, where I talk all things Godsmack. This is episode 39 this week. Tommy Stewart episode. It's all about Tommy Stewart. In Godsmack news this week, they posted the part 3 of the You Asked, We Answer. The question was, has the process changed in recording the albums? Sully and Shannon both answered. Sully basically said, we're still students until the day we die. Um, I actually really like this answer. It could go either way. As a musician, as just an ordinary person, we're still learning as in life. So I really like that answer a lot. Shannon said it was a pressure-free album, so they didn't really have the record label breathing down their necks or pressuring them to write a hit song or album or this or that. Plus, they knew during the recording of this album that this was going to be their last album. So they wanted it to be their absolute best, the best songs, the best playing. So it was actually pressure free for them. I really like these You Asked, We Answer videos that they're doing. They've done 3 so far. Yeah, I love it. It gives you a behind the scenes kind of thing. I really like that kind of stuff. So if they're out there watching, keep them coming. On Monday, they asked us, the fans, what should be the next single off of Lighting Up the Sky. I said Truth and Let's Go. Truth is kind of a ballad-ish kind of song. I can really see that being a humongous hit. I could also see Let's Go being a humongous hit. It's kind of like Souls on Fire, but a little more up tempo. But yeah, I could see either one of those being big hit songs off this album. Also, speaking of the singles, the second single, Soul on Fire, is a top 10 single on active rock radio charts. That's awesome. I think it's ranked number 10 as we speak right now. So keep calling and requesting radios, stations to play this song. I've been calling them here in my hometown. They're probably sick of hearing me talk, but yeah, Soul on Fire. That's awesome. Uh, and just the other day, uh, they announced that Sully did an interview with George, and I'm going to try and pronounce his last name, Strumpopoulos. This is a long name. It's almost got, uh, I can't really say it. So there you go. It's actually on Apple Music. Now, I don't really have Apple Music, so I might have to figure out a way to listen to this. Plus, I'm still trying to catch up with all the other interviews that they did prior to this one. So, yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do. That's it in Godsmack News. Uh, Episode 39. This is the Tommy Stewart episode. So this week, on this week's episode, I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about Tommy. I haven't really talked about him since episode 6, which is the Faceless album review. So if you want to go back and listen to that or watch it, go check it out. So I'm not really going to talk about his stuff pre-Godsmack. Uh, he was in 2 bands uh, prior to Godsmack. One of them was the band called Halloween. He's actually on the bonus tracks on one of their albums. And Lillian Axe on one of their full-length albums. But that's pre-Godsmack. And maybe I'll do an episode on that, further down the road. I have heard of Halloween and I've heard of Lillian Axe. I haven't really heard their songs per se. I remember seeing them in music magazines like Metal Edge and Hit Parader and Circus and all them, but never really checked them out. So I'm gonna have to do a pre-Godsmack Tommy Stewart episode further down the road, just to hear these bands. If you've heard any of these two bands, write me a comment down below. What do they sound like? I mean, who would you compare them to? But on this week's episode, I am going to talk about the two, I'm going to say slash three bands that he was in after he left Godsmack, was fired from Godsmack. You know, who knows the what really happened. When I was putting the episode together, uh, I saw where Tommy said that they both sides had agreed that he would leave the band. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out once Sully writes this book. Um, so one of those two bands or three bands, two slash three bands, I should say, after Godsmack is one band called Low Pro. That's LO-PRO. The kind of band I'm going to talk about is Fuel, which I've heard of. I've never heard of Low Pro until I put this episode together. And Everclear. I've had heard of Everclear. Very cool band. So let's pick up where we left off with Tommy. After he left Godsmack, he was actually a touring drummer for extreme singer Gary Sharon. Gary, I guess, was on a solo tour, and Tommy was his drummer. Which again, I'm going to stop real fast. Uh, this kind of makes me wonder if Paul Gary had a little bit to do with this to kind of help Tommy get a job, I guess. Because Paul was the ex drummer of the band Extreme, so he's the manager of Godsmack. I'm sure Nino, who's the guitar player of Extreme, and Gary, the singer of Extreme, are still friends. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Again, I'm guessing, so don't hold me to that. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. After that, he joined Pete Mary, who is a singer, and guitarist Neil Godfrey from the band Ultraspank to form Low Pro in 2002. Ultraspank I've actually heard of as well. A really cool band. The band Low Pro was signed to Aaron Lewis's record label, 413. Now here's another Godsmack kind of connection. Aaron Lewis, the lead singer of Stain, he's also a solo artist. He actually does country music when he does solo stuff. So there again, there's a little Godsmack intertwined there. But they were signed to his record label, 413. The distributor for 413 Records was Geffen Records. Geffen Records, for me, as a music fan, is best known for the band Whitesnake, and of course, one of the biggest names on Geffen Records, Guns N' Roses. Now, Tommy recorded 3 full-length albums plus an EP for this band. So, let's get it started with the debut album. It's self-titled. I'm not going to talk about the whole album, but here are some of the highlight songs I thought were really cool on these albums. It was produced by Aaron Lewis, and it was released in 2003. So we're going to go with a song called Not Me. This one kicks right in. Sorry, something wrong with my camera there. Kicks right in, great groove, very cool drumming. Excuse me, Cool drumming by Tommy. It almost sounds very Godsmack-ish. His drumming in this song. Uh, cool drumming again, like I said. Cool singing by Pete. Really catchy chorus. Really great song. It's called Not Me. I really like this one a lot. The next song we're going to talk about off the debut album is called Sunday. This one actually has a video for it. It was released as a single. Tommy is in the video, so go check it out. It's called Sunday. This one starts with a great kind of this great soft singing in it, and the playing in it as well. That kind of really picks up, and but not real heavy hard rock. It's a good song. I really liked it. Uh, Great song. Like I said, Sunday. Check that one out. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next thing, and that was the EP called Letting Go. This one was co-produced by Aaron Lewis and the band, released in 2009. So there was a big gap between the debut album and the EP. I saw was putting it together. There was a lot of touring involved, and yeah, songwriting. A lot of songwriting. Like they had written like almost close to 30 songs. So, but they ended up doing an EP. So one of the songs we're going to talk about is called Alive. Kicks in, really cool guitar playing and drumming. Then it kind of slows down. Really good. I really like this one a lot. It's so good. It's so good. It's called Alive. Check out that track. So that's the EP. The next album that he did with them is called The Beautiful Sounds of Revenge. Now this one's a little bit sooner release. This was released 2010, but they were also dropped by 413 slash Geffen Records. They actually signed to an indie label called Rocket Science. This one was totally produced by the singer Pete Mary. So let's talk about the first song. It's called Pushed Aside. This one starts with guitar and vocals, then it kind of builds up with Tommy's drumming. It's outstanding. I think this is a really great song, especially his drumming parts. Just listen to the drums on this. Really great song. I really like this one. It has a lot of different tempos in it. Again, it's so good. It's kind of a roller coaster kind of a song, Pushed Aside. The next song we're going to talk about is called Say. This one starts like the other song, but a little more up tempo with the guitar and vocals. And then this one is actually fantastic. I really like this one a lot too. The drumming by Tommy is fantastic as well. It's almost futuristic kind of a sound. I wouldn't say Nine Inch Nails. Maybe a little ministry kind of sound, drumming wise. But yeah, check that one out as well. The next album was called Disintegration Effect. This again was produced by Pete, released in 2013. So we're going to talk about the song called Wasteland. Starts with this futuristic sound, then the guitar and singing, almost industrial again. The drumming in this by Tommy is very unique. Really cool song. Yeah, check that one out too. I mean, this is Low Pro is actually a pretty cool band. The next song and the last song we're going to talk about with Low Pro is called Farewell. Again, it's very industrial, very different. The singing has this kind of echo effect to it. It's really cool. Song's really good. It's called Farewell. Sorry, there's my notes. I'm trying to hold up. Alright, so there was this stint with Low Pro. In between this, he did do a tour with the band Fuel. That's why I was saying sorta, kinda, almost. For their album Angels and Devils. Now, he didn't play on the album. He was asked to play on this album, but he had prior commitments, so he couldn't do it. In fact, Fuel brought in Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee to play the tracks, but Tommy did the tour. Okay, so there's that part. So that's what I was saying, sorta, kinda, almost. He was in 3 bands. In 2009, he did record an album with the band Everclear. The album's called A Different Light. I'm not really going to talk about this album. Basically, it's a re-recorded greatest hits album. It's got one of my favorite Everclear songs, Everything to Everyone. I actually really like that song a lot. But yeah, check out that Everclear. Alright, so that's it. Homework this week. Do you have any of these albums? Let me know. Write me a comment down below. Did you follow Tommy after he left Godsmack? So that's question number 2. To be honest, I didn't. It's not that I didn't like Tommy as a drummer. I think I was so excited when Shannon came in, and I had heard that he did an album with Lily and Axe, but I didn't know that was pre-Godsmack. Yeah, definitely check out Low Pro. That is absolutely outstanding. But yeah, I'm sorry, Tommy, but I mean, that's the way it was at that time. Alright, so that's it for this week. Next week's episode is episode 40. That's hard to believe, 40. And next week's episode is actually going to be about me. I'm going to talk about how I became a Godsmack fan. You sort of kind of know if you've been listening and watching since episode 1. But I'm kind of going a little more detail. I'm going to talk about some of the memorabilia that I have of them. There's one kind of right behind me. I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about future episodes that are ahead to get you ready for it. But yeah, if there's a question that you have for me about the band or whatever, as long as it's not too personal, write me a comment down below. But yeah, that's going to be about next week's episode. Also, I was going to talk about why. I have never told on an episode why I started this podcast, how it came about. So yeah, that's all next week. If you know anybody that's a Godsmack fan, likes to talk about Godsmack, hear about Godsmack, send them this way. Tell them to tell them go on Google, Firefox, YouTube, whoever else there is. Send them the link. Tell them type in "Smack This," the unofficial. All the episodes will pop up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. That actually helps out this podcast a lot. Again, don't forget your homework. If you got a question for me, ask me. I'll answer it and give you a shout out next week. Again, that's it. And you just got Godsmack.